Well, hello again, my crafty friends. I am here again today to show you guys the second part to the alcohol ink cards that we created. I am going to show you how I did the assembly line to put them together. I just wanted to show you first, though, what we came up with these beautiful backgrounds. So this is one of the backgrounds that we did with the alcohol pearls, and I used a stamp set, pretty much the same stamp set on the inside of all of them. This one, of course, was my favorite, the one that we created with the Slate paper and the blue and green alcohol mixtures. Now I have done all of these fronts of the cards. The sentiments were all cut out with my Cricut, and I just cut them out with vinyl, and I used some jewels to create them. So here is another one that was created with the alcohol inks that we did earlier, and I just did a variation because I wanted to do an entire card set. I don't typically do card sets because my cards are pretty involved, and so I wanted to challenge myself. And so this one is the one that we did with the vellum and the alcohol inks, and again using some vinyl to create a sentiment on the front of that. And we have this one is the one that we did with the acetate and the alcohol pearls. And if you guys will remember, I told you that although it was a little bit difficult when I was doing it and I was a little concerned, I absolutely loved the texture that we received when this was complete. And this was the other one that we did, and we used some blues and greens again, and another thank you needed to stack up on my thank you cards. So I'm going to show you what we did. So here we go. These again are, if you remember, the pages from when we were done. That was the vellum piece that we created. And then we have this piece that was done with the heavyweight Yupo that was by Ranger. And then we did another one, and this one was the one that I was telling you guys was the peacock one that I really liked, and that was the one that we did with the Slate paper. And up next we have the paper, the one that we did where we have all the colors from blues and greens going inward. And this was the one, I believe this was the regular Yupo paper that we used. This one was the mineral paper that we used, and we used those alcohol pearls again on that one. And it has that beautiful pearlescent sheen all the way through. And then we have our one that we did on acetate, and you can really see all of the texture that we got. And like I said, it doesn't show all of the lumps of the mica that I was seeing when we initially did it. So I've gone through and I've cut down all of my pieces. I've cut me some black cardstock, and I've cut some white glitter cardstock. This is how I'm going to mat all of our card panels. And then I have taken my Cricut and I've cut out a bunch of thank yous, and I have some contact paper. So all I'm going to do is I am going to do this assembly line. I am going to bring in each of my pieces, and the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to line up the fronts of each of the cards onto those alcohol ink backgrounds. And like I said, like with this one, I could add a name and personalize it. But I wanted to do something that was going to be simpler and something that I was going to have the ability to showcase the actual alcohol ink backgrounds. I did not want to cover a lot of it, and I wanted the alcohol inks to be the focal point of the cards. So for example, this one is another thank you that just shows, it highlights the sentiment, but there's really nothing else that's on the front of this card. I will finish it off with some jewels, but it really shows and allows the alcohol inks to be the focal point of the card. Now, I really like these thank yous that I created that have the smaller, I guess wider sentiments that really just center a thank you, and then have the alcohol inks as the remainder of the background. So we're going to go in and we're going to do another one of these, and I am just moving along. Like I said, when I am working assembly line style, I do all of one thing first. So the first thing that I chose to do was to place the front sentiment on all of these. So I cut down all of my alcohol ink panels. I cut down all of my mats. I cut down all of my glitter paper. I weeded all of my vinyl. And now I'm in the step of placing all of those pieces on to the actual alcohol ink backgrounds. So we're going to go in and finish placing these on. And I ended up in the video doing a total of 6 cards. However, I did a total of 9 in this set. And these would make an amazing gift set for someone to just provide some cards that they could give out to give to someone else. So that is kind of the thought that I had in mind for these. They did not take a long time to do. Once I completed all of the backgrounds, it was pretty simple to actually put them together. The majority of my time in this endeavor was playing with the alcohol inks, and it probably didn't even need to be as long as it was. I just truly was having a very fun time playing around with these alcohol inks, and I feel like they turned out absolutely gorgeous. So these are all of the backgrounds that we have created thus far in order to make our cards. So once I have this part done in our assembly line, I will start doing the next thing. So I wanted to show you kind of what all of the backgrounds looked like. So now we have all of our backgrounds done. The next step to doing this is I'm going to bring in some VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and I am going to bring in a stamp set from maymaymadeit.com, and this is a thank you stamp set, and I really love all of the different sentiments. There were so many sentiments that I was able to build a sentiment for the inside of the cards and change them all up just a little bit. So what I'm going to do now is I have my inside panel cut out to 4x6, and then I am going to bring in my mini Misty, and I am going to start stamping out, and the only thing that I'm going to be changing is the very last line on each of these cards. So all of the first lines, the first 2 lines are, it goes from the front that it says thank you, and then on the inside it says so very much from the bottom of my heart, and then there is a sentiment that says for going above and beyond. There is another sentiment that says for thinking of me. There is a sentiment in the stamp set that says for being a rock star friend. There is another one that says for being so considerate. There is one that says for putting others first. And then there's one that says, what would I do without you? So it says so very much from the bottom of my heart. What would I do without you? And there are a couple other sentiments that are in the stamp set. And I feel like this is one of those stamp sets that's really a staple in your craft room. It just helps you to build sentiments. You can use it for a lot of different things. Like I did not even use the bigger sentiments that come along with the stamp set because I used my Cricut to create these thank yous on the front, but they went so very well to create those center sentiments. So I went in and I did all of those next in my assembly line and got all 6 of those stamped out. Did not take long at all. One of the things that I have noticed is if you have everything out, it's a lot easier to make multiple cards. I used to always make 2 cards anyways because it made it a little easier for me to give cards away when I always had one on standby. So now when I'm doing something like this and I can do assembly line, I have multiple cards to either give away or to make a gift set with. So now we're going to move on to the next step in our assembly line, and that is going to be matting each of our alcohol ink panels to a card mat. Now, I chose to do a card mat of black because I just think that the black really does bring your eyes in toward your focal point. And I'm using my art glitter glue from maymaymadeit.com. And because of the surface that we're using with some of the alcohol inks, I did end up putting them underneath something heavy to make sure that they stuck down really well. I don't know if it would have been a problem had I not, but I just wanted to err on the side of caution, especially when using different surfaces, and I was using glitter cardstock in addition to that, and I just wanted everything to adhere very well. So I'm using my liquid glue because that gives me a little bit of time to place everything correctly, because I did not have my Cricut cut out my guidelines for this card. I just did it with my guillotine trimmer. So, that means that I, of course, will not just easily line things up. So I need the liquid glue to have the ability to have a moment to line them up. So once I get all of them backed on the black, I am going to then end that with another mat of the white glitter paper. And this white glitter paper is from Cricut, and I love it because it has like this iridescent hue to it. It's got like little flecks of other colors in the white glitter, and I absolutely love it. I think that it is an amazing glitter cardstock. But like I said, because it is textured, it isn't like their sparkle cardstock that is glittery but not textured. This is the older glitter cardstock that is textured. So I am going ahead and doing that, and in this instance I glued the glitter cardstock, so I had to go ahead and glue it to the card base. So it threw my little assembly line off a little bit, but not too much. I got back on track and I was able to continue with my assembly train. So once I have that part done, I'm going to move on to working on the insides of my cards. So I had these, like I said, stuck underneath something heavy so that they could adhere very well, and I did not have to worry about them coming apart or not adhering all the way through. So now I brought in my inside portions, and I am gluing these also to a black mat because my card bases are going to be white, so I did not worry about double matting the insides of the card. So these are done on some white or off-white cardstock by Recollection that is 100 pound. And then I have the black cardstock, which is some 80 pound Cricut cardstock that I am matting that on, and then I will go on to put it on a 100 pound card base. So it'll make a pretty substantial card for us. We will have a very sturdy and durable card with the different layers and the weight of each of our papers. So I'm just making sure that I get it glued down really, really well here, so I don't have to worry about anything. I'm always a little bit leery. I want to make sure that everything is adhered very well. And I know with the art glitter glue, a lot of people say less is more, but I'm more of a go big or go home type of person. So I want to make sure everything is adhered very, very well. And I am aware that I make pretty sturdy and significantly weighty cards, so I have to make sure that those are glued down very well. So now we are at the second to last step of the card, and that is adhering all of our card panels onto the card base. And like I said, I'm using white card bases, and these are 100 pound pieces of cardstock from Recollections, and I'm going to go ahead and glue all of the insides in. Once I get all the insides glued in, then I can glue on the front portion of the card. Once the front portion of the cards are completed, I was thinking of what could I use to kind of give a little bit of sparkle, a little bit of dimension to kind of tie off the card. So I went into my stash and pulled out some jewels, and I am pretty sure that these jewels are also Studio Katia. I have a lot of Studio Katia jewels from before I labeled my things. Had a really bad thing about not labeling things before I decided that I was going to be on YouTube, because who cared at that point, right? Yeah, that's coming back to get me. But at any rate, so I decided that I was going to take these jewels, and wherever there were flowers or just kind of creating that what we call a visual triangle, so that I could adhere all of these to the card base. And I decided to do something darker just so that it would contrast the thank you and the white vinyl that was used on the cards. And I think that it turned out really well. Although they are black, they had this sapphire and emerald hue to them as you are moving them around in the light, and I was trying to pick it up. I am not sure if the camera was able to catch it or the photographs. Hopefully you guys will have the ability to see what that looks like. But I thought that these tied off the cards very well, both the ones that had the blue and green as the primary colors in the alcohol ink, but also the ones that were with the orange, yellow, and pinks. I felt like it offered a very nice contrast in the colors of the alcohol inks, as well as being, I guess, pretty much the opposite of the vinyl that was used on the card. The card sentiment. That's the word that I'm looking for, the sentiment. So that is pretty much what we did for this card. So I'm going to finish up putting all the jewels on the cards, and then I am going to give you guys one final look at the card. I am going to link to the video that I did earlier that shows you guys how I got all of these backgrounds and the process and the different surfaces that I used. I hope that in total, this video and the video discussing all of the different alcohol inks and all of the different surfaces was very beneficial. I know I had been asked about this a lot, so I wanted to make sure that I got something out for you guys. I hope that it was beneficial. I hope that it answered your questions. If this is your first time here, I want to say welcome. Thank you for coming by. I hope that you return. Please leave me a comment in the comment section. You guys know that I love chatting with you. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to know what you think. I want to know what you want to see. So please make sure that you leave me a comment if you enjoyed this video, or if you found anything that was beneficial for you. Please hit the like button. Like I said, I will have the other video linked for you guys, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.